Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Marvel Rivals Championship game. We are here in the ignition round of the Marvel Rivals Championship, and we have decided to jump in at America first. We are in for North and South America, Canada, or everything in that region is all under one banner. We have finished with our Ignite qualifier coverage. If you want my actual Ignite coverage, then check out the Rivals Esports recap, or come watch me on twitch.tv/Marvel Rivals. I do the main stream for that every 2 days or so. On I think this coming week, I'm on Friday, Saturday, so come watch me then. But also watch the Thursday and Sunday games because all the casters are really good. But we have some games here in the Americas. We are in the Ignition round, which means we are in best of threes, and we also are going to be having a single elimination. So losing teams are out, as we are going to be heading in to our game today. It is Meow Miso versus FutureTalent. Reminder, this is single elimination, which is obviously going to mean that if you are taken out, you will have to wait until next time. But these teams are not just competing for a shared prize pool per region of $14,500 per region. Extremely solid amount of money. That's, I think, 6,000 to 8,000 for first place. I'll have to look that up. A lovely amount to share. But also, the top two teams for the Americas, EMEA and Pacific, will earn an automatic spot in Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 2 for these PC teams, meaning you will skip the open qualifiers. All those spots that are about to open up as we lose the bottom cut of teams from Marvel Rivals Ignite. You won't have to do those open qualifiers if you just win MRC or come second, top two teams. So these teams have a lot on the line. FutureTalent, they've been in a lot of the independent tournaments, have performed quite well, even winning one of the tournaments that we did report about in the Rivals Esports recap. Meow Miso, they got here, obviously, so they had to come through either the open or closed bracket. I believe they would have come through the closed bracket, meaning they did not hit that top cut in the open qualifier and are now having to play through here. So they will be the underdogs here. FutureTalent, they scored a 10-0 in those open qualifier games, performing extremely well to get to this point. I'm recording this on the 17th of June. About halfway through the year, and plenty to talk about already. So seeing the Captain America being banned away. We're, of course, on MRC bans, not the Marvel Rivals Ignite Advanced bans. Captain America has been an absolute menace for backline dives. The Rocket Protect is a very unusual selection here. Not really seeing a lot of play outside of some team-up rollouts with Penny Parker. Ultron, on the other hand, is seeing a little bit more play, being a hit scan character. A little bit of solid damage and a little bit of extra protection for your team. Makes them pretty reasonable in a lot of situations. And the Hawkeye, seeing a little bit of play, not a lot, but the play we're seeing has been extremely effective. Will be removed from the board, leaving Emma Frost, Wolverine to be picked up, just in case we do see a Groot with Magneto taken away. Emma, of course, does become the highest priority tank, but we still have that Groot. We still have Doctor Strange, which Wolverine is going to be extremely good against as well. That is a good protect from Meow Miso. And FutureTalent will close out their side of the draft with the Jeff ban in game number 1. Jeff's been seeing a little bit of play. We're seeing a little bit of Jeff Nado from some teams. We saw one team actually decide to bring Jeff in as the third strategist in the Adam Warlock, Mantis, and Star-Lord composition, which was quite a surprise. Did try to go for some It's Jeff plays, weren't able to land too many. We do still see the Storm, though, even though FutureTalent were planning on running that. They decided that they didn't want to deal with that Jeff Nado against them, or didn't want to run it themselves. With Invisible Woman protected, they're still looking at a potential for a Cloak and Dagger, who has massively leapt up in priority, but also Loki snuck through the ban phase and is not being hovered at all for FutureTalent here. We're in MRCs, and these are the talent of tomorrow, the teams that could be qualifying for Ignite, so we will introduce our players. On the left-hand side, on the defense, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I apologize that my cursor's showing up. Oh, no, it's not showing up. Okay, I have no idea what happened there. Yesterday it was here and now it's just not. I don't know what happened at all. Massively confused, whatever. So, on the left-hand side, in the blue trunks on the defense, it is going to be Meow Miso with Lost Luck playing the Groot. Maddie on the Rocket is going to roll out with that. Wrecking will be on that Hella. Ian will be playing the Loki here. Zuri on the Wolverine. And Abhor Me will be on that AMER Frost. We're seeing what is likely going to be a portal strat coming out from FutureTalent, being led by Aura Boy on the attack. Going for a bit of a high ground portal for the Punisher turret. Aura Boy on that Doctor Strange, setting up the shield to keep the protectors. Everyone is putting all their apples into this Punisher basket. And Louisiana will be on the Lunar Snow. Timber, they're not going down, they're going forward on this Punisher. Zombie 12th Fan will be on that Storm. We have Fuwa on the Cloak and Dagger, and Poke is leading the charge as the AMER Frost. Trying to look for an opening at this early stage. That Groot is here. No counter Groot from the other side. So this Wolverine is going to be looking for Doctor Strange's. Going to be looking to see if they can isolate a Punisher if they can. There is that Strange. Wants to push out but doesn't want to get caught out of position from in front of that Groot wall. Creeping forward. Does find the AMER, but actually pushes them away from their team and will get picked off here. Zombie 12 Fan landing some good shots. FutureTalent creeping forward here. Terror Cape comes on out. The Dark Force Wall for that little bit of extra damage reduction. Cosmic Yard Amplifier gonna try and burst through that with the Omega Hurricane to try and finish through it. That will be enough damage to take out the Cosmic Yard Amplifier and will zone out the backline as the front line is taken down thanks to Aura Boy finishing off Lost Luck. The Hella Storm Jewel. Hella, of course, is a hit scan character, but just overwhelmed by damage here as FutureTalent absolutely clear up the defense position here. Looking onto that Wolverine for the finishing blow with the Crystal Kick from Poke. Point number one goes over to FutureTalent as they are trying to capitalize, push on in, looking for the Loki, which they will finish off. Wrecking making their way back. Aponomy has moved over from the AMER onto the Thor here. Going in for the Awakening Room. We saw some crazy Thor play from Cringe Alarm throughout Ignite, doing some really solid job in those qualifiers. Show that there's a little bit of potential for this. Forced to dash away. Aya Magamoto from Aura Boy in the backline, but the Goddess of Death will drop a little bit of counter damage. They're able to take them down quickly, though. Lost Luck taken out quickly, but revived to the BRB. Not so lucky for Wrecking, who goes down a little bit too slowly. Poke picked off by Zuri as this Wolverine, with Last Stand still available, is trying to wrap around for the flanks. The final judgment from Timber, with the help of Zombie 12 Fan, are pushing on through here. Cleaning up the defensive point, the cart keeps moving forward, and Meow Miso, it feels like, they're fighting on multiple different angles. We'll see the classic Punisher play, setting up a culling turret on this high ground. For defense, it will be obviously a little bit further to the left for a little bit of extra protection from the buildings to zone away attacks as they come. And on attack, it is a great siege to prevent anyone from stepping through this door, to touch the cart and prevent it from going over. Scourge Grenade to make their way back in, and we will see FutureTalent continuing to roll on forwards. Psionic Seduction coming out easily enough to lock down Wrecking. They're able to take down Loki as well. Ian is down, and they're following up. BRB brings back Ian, but they're still in full retreat. There's the isolation for an attempted pickup, but nothing can be gained here. Zuri dropped extremely low and will have to retreat. Just taking a lot of focus from FutureTalent onto making sure that they pile on momentum and stagger these eliminations, trying to make sure that this Wolverine does not get the value they want. Culling turret on top of the cart to keep the pressure on, and Abnormi in serious trouble positioning-wise, not going to have a good time as it comes to the invisible boundary for the counter. Cosmic Yard Amplifier once again taken down by the Omega Hurricane there, and Timber just gets a shot to the face of Zuri, taking them down. Zombie will finally get picked off, but it's still a massive momentum going over to FutureTalent, barely slowing down at all this game as they push on in. Map giving a little bit of color over to Meow Miso. Zuri on the Iron Man to try and set up an opening as Lost Luck trying to open up with the Psionic Seduction, but no one is touching the point, meaning that no one will delay this, and that will be the triple for FutureTalent.
Time to switch things up, including which
Reminder that these games are from MRC, which was a completely open qualifier. If you are playing in MRC, let me know in the comments your region and your team name, and I will try and find and cast your games, preferably starting at these ignition rounds, so that I can make sure that I get as much coverage as possible. Also, a big shout out to our members who help support the channel. You can support the channel by liking, commenting, leaving a subscription with that bell rung so that you know when these videos go live, or you can hit that thanks button for a one-time donation, or hit join to become a member where you get videos early and you get your name shouted out like these people on every video. Dump Alt, Lucas Tyson, Arso, Doki Pokey, and John. Also a call out, someone sign Arso. They're really good Ignite level player, and they're currently looking for team for the Ignite Stage 2 qualifiers. Orby looking at the Venom for the attack round from Meow Miso as they are going to adjust their composition here. Zuri moving over to the Star-Lord potentially. Could give them a little bit of dueling potential for that Storm to try and take them out a bit earlier. Making their way out to the point right away of Orby. Early portal. Horrorboy on that Venom for an attempted turnaround. Portal from a Orby. They're going to try and do the wraparound, but the positioning has already been retaken. Timber setting up the culling turret on the opposite side building to try and punish them as Wrecking is dropped down. Has to use the Astral Flop to get out of danger. Meantime, Auraboy is deep in the building here, trying to cause some issues for that rocket. For anyone who steps out of position will be forced to back away a bit as they drop down to half. Still trying to protect. In the meantime, Poke up on the high ground, was knocked down, but it's causing a lot of pressure. Fully charged, maximum damage output here. Psychic Spear, and is starting to melt the members of Meow Miso here. Maddie's been playing extra mobile. Zuri is on the flank, trying to just get any damage onto this Venom, who's continuing to harass, using those iframes to dodge the attempted pickups from Timber. They have full control, forcing back Lost Luck, who will get taken out once again. And we are just seeing them getting more and more isolated. As one person goes down every couple seconds, it is just going to be a slow pickup here. Meow Miso running out of bodies near the objective. They're forced to back up, regroup, and they're getting so staggered here. Astral Flock already used, means that Rekik had no way to get out, and Auraboy was able to pick up that elimination. Apormi now goes down. They are so staggered. Meow Miso in serious trouble. They need to wait and they need to regroup. Can't afford to keep running in when not everyone is here, because we're already seeing FutureTalent winning fights when everyone is grouped up. You can't afford to be taking fights where you're not. FutureTalent piling on the pressure. Auraboy engaged in, already swung out to get out of danger. You can see Zuri up on the high ground as Timber snipes Wrecking. Zuri backing away, not wanting to get picked off by this Venom, keeping the pressure on. Carbon Crush with the Blaster Barrage to try and punish, but gets picked off by the shotgun of Timber in that close-knit space. Extremely viable as they push on in. Zuri will come back at the Cosmic Yard Amplifier, sorry, the Battle Rebirth Beacon, as Lost Luck's taken down. Ian and Maddie with no more BRB. There's no more respawns. They have to go back to base and regroup together. That will be enough, though, for Wrecking to take out Zombie, but they go down as well. Counter picked up continuously by Auraboy's overwhelming backline harass presence. Waiting for anyone to step out of position, go for a little bit of a backline dive right away. Apormi, 5 seconds to portal, so they can go in for this engage, and if it fails, they have time for another portal, but Apormi needs to be one of the people who goes down early. That culling turret already opening fire, and Auraboy has taken out Wrecking again. They will come back at the BRB, but they're just being harassed again, getting completely targeted here, and Auraboy will be forced to swing away. Will get themselves healed up with that invisible boundary. Timber with the final judgment melts that Doctor Strange, which is actually kind of good for Meow Miso, because it means if everyone else goes down, they have timing for a portal to come back in. Burning the ultimate now with none of your your team here is extremely risky, and we will see Zuri get punished for it. There is at least one counter pickup coming in from Wrecking as they're trying to staggeringly summon the eliminations so that when that portal comes back in, they have a numbers advantage. But Zombie Fan and Aura Boy are just locked onto this Hella. Here comes the portal from Abhor Me. They've brought the Spider-Man to touch the point to get some delay going in. This Zombie, the 12th fan, is going to come in for the Omega Hurricane. Fate of both worlds is going to be burned for the extra protection and the extra damage here as they melt on through. Meow, Miso, Abhor is down. Feast from the abyss. Lost Luck is melted. Ian returned thanks to that Battle Rebirth beacon. Zuri is just too low in this fight. Can't touch the point, and that will be FutureTalent taking a 3-0 in game number 1. What a performance! Timber taking a well-deserved MVP, but it's not too surprising when you saw just how pocketed they were for the majority of that game, with almost all the strategists just staying nearby, one of the Vanguards constantly being there, that Emma Frost, to make sure that they were protected. This was, and Pokey, even the Doctor Strange at the end, just in case they needed reinforcements, they did fantastic. 38 KOs, 17 of which were final hits. Only got taken out once, Aura Boy and Elusiana there. Elusinia, I assume is actually how that's supposed to be pronounced. I'm just guessing here. Also not getting taken out at all. Top damage will, of course, be the 18k of Timber, but it's not that far ahead of Zombie 12 Fan, 18k compared to 15k, and Wrecking also keeping up quite nicely with 14k. Zuri really struggling to find their momentum here. Got stuck on 6k damage. Top damage blocked, 32k for Lost to Luck, doing a very good job on that Emma. And the healing. Almost a two-way tie between Maddie and Fuwa, but it is going to be Maddie who will top out that healing output, 21k and 800 compared to 21k and 500. Extremely close, though. Now, as I completely melt in the heat of the UK, continuing to remain extremely humid, I don't know how much of that you can see on camera, other than the fact that my hair has become extremely frizzy because I just came out the shower, and I get sent back to the main screen. Hooray! Gotta go find the stuff again. There we go. At least it's not too difficult to find. We have our map number 2 of potentially 3. Will FutureTalent take the win and continue to move on in this Marvel Rivals Championship bracket, or will we see the side of Meow Miso begin the turnaround to even us up and take us to our map number 3? Let's find out as we head in to our map number 2. It is Midtown. We'll be starting off with Convoy with Meow Miso taking the first ban and starting on attack. Let's see what they decide to go for. What was the biggest problem? That Venom was extremely difficult to deal with. The Punisher was extremely difficult to deal with. But they are starting off with the Winter Soldier ban. We did not see it, but it is still a potential risk. There was also a Storm in that game that might be considered an option, as it did counter their Battle Rebirth beacon. And if Meow Miso is a rocket, our rocket enjoyers, then potentially removing that Storm could be a little bit extra protection here. We're going to see the Ultron as the ban for FutureTalent, and they protect the Captain America, giving them that rush down potential that they can use on Aura Boy. After doing so much work in game number 1, just diving on the Venom, they now have the Cap, who is the more standard backline dive potential. There is that rocket. Protected again, Meow Miso very much leaning on the Rocket Raccoon here, getting massive AoE healing for the team, but they played so split last time that they weren't able to get a lot of value. But that BRB, the Battle Rebirth Beacon, is extremely effective at giving you a lot of protection for bringing someone back if they get picked off isolatedly. And here is that Storm ban, that Omega Hurricane. While it didn't find too many final hits, what it did do is basically wipe the Battle Rebirth Beacon every time it was used. And that is a huge chunk of a team's protection. It is a disadvantage of Rocket. He's one of the few characters where you can shut down their big support ultimate without actually picking off the Rocket themselves. Normally you'd have to Invisible Pulse Cannon, a already mid ult Lunar Snow with that Fade of both worlds. You'd have to somehow get Invisible Woman out of their invisible boundary and take them down. So instead, we're going to see a bit more of a focus onto that rocket this time to keep that pressure up. And they are banning out the characters who can maybe focus down that Cosmic Yard Amplifier a little bit more. Magneto is on the board. Great protection for a Captain America for if they decide to dive a little bit more. Star-Lord will be protected, and I would honestly like to see Meow Miso ban out the Punisher here. It was pocketed extremely effectively. It can focus down the Cosmic Yard Amplifier due to the fact that the spread of the main attack has been reduced in the most recent patch, as well as an ammo increase. It is extremely effective at clearing out Cosmic Yard Amplifiers, but they choose to continue banning out that Hawkeye. FutureTalent, final ban. Also, sorry I'm a little bit stuffed up. It's hay fever. Doing my best to deal with it, but there's only so much I can do. We're going to see that Doctor Strange take it out.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Adam Warlock on the board. FutureTalent going in for a full-on revive composition. With Fuwa going to be locking in on the rocket for some pre-armor as they're on defense, and then potentially will be swapping over to that Cloak and Dagger. We'll have to see. And there is the Magneto. Extremely effective with a Star-Lord composition, as Star-Lord wants to try and dive in and use that Blaster Barrage. Magneto can then use the Iron Bulwark to keep them topped up, and you won't have to worry about Zombie 12 getting picked off as much. Meow Miso looking for a similar strategy here as they run almost the exact same stuff, but they are going to try bringing out the Groot. A little bit of extra protection so they can push on in. Maybe they can try and isolate that Magneto from the side of FutureTalent. If they can do so, they can put more pressure onto Aura Boy, on that Captain America. A lot more defensive here for Meow Miso. Whereas FutureTalent playing a little bit more aggressive with this Captain America. Interesting crosshair, but hey, we do not judge that much here.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Fuwa leading the Chargers. Here they go. High ground position taken by FutureTalent. Spore Bomb sent into it. And we will see Meow Miso move on up immediately against him at a Dark Force Cave as they make their way forward. Blaster Barrage with the Iron Bulwark to try and protect Zombie Fan, who will be able to get out without being dropped too low. Timber almost not as lucky as they get focused down. Will quickly get healed back up to full. Groot dropped extremely low, but it's Maddie who is taken down by the Cosmic Cluster. Ian is going to be sniped as well, and this is going to be Timber and Aura Boy piling on the pressure using the hit scans of that Adam Warlock and the overwhelming pressure of that Captain America. Rekik moving on in, trying to pile on the damage, gets quickly cleaned out. Not going to burn that cocoon, will be sent back to spawn. And Abormi looking for an opening to try and set up for their team in Battle Leap to get out of danger. They don't want to get picked off all alone here. Zombie 12 fan, Galactic Legend dropped extremely early, right outside the spawn. Has to use the Metallic Curtain to get out of there. They will not find any pickups from it. But Ian was still taken out anyway by the remaining members of FutureTalent, and they have once again held this cart here. Herbie going nowhere, not making it to Avengers Tower. Here comes the Galactic Legend for Rekik with their own Galactic Legend to try and get onto the backline. They even have that Cosmic Yard Amplifier for the extra damage, pushing in, but it's not enough. The healing output and the Soul Bond from FutureTalent shuts them down completely. You can hear those charged up shots from the Cosmic Cluster. Then Quantum Magic for the little bit of for the single target shots. Remember, the main attack, that Quantum Magic, that is a hit scan. The Cosmic Cluster, the charge attack, is not. That is a projectile, so you can miss that one, can get dodged. Speaking of dodging the Meteor M as that whizzes past. Poke nearly finding the hit up as Horby will drop that Clobber in time, but finds nothing. Meow Miso creeping forward, Rekik taken out by the Blaster Barrage, brought back at the BRB, and they finally take out Aura Boy. Galactic Legend, and going for that Karmic Revival. FutureTalent making sure that they are all here. The Battle Rebirth Beacon is brought back, making sure that everyone is in the fight. Ian has held on to their Karmic Revival, though, could use it, but in the meantime, Aura Boy is back in the backline, being revived, as we mentioned just a bit ago. Getting forced to back up. Karmic Revival getting some good work here. Zuri goes down, but the Battle Rebirth Beacon, as we mentioned, was already used up by Maddie. Zombie 12 fan gets the double, and we are seeing a massive containment coming in here from FutureTalent. Meow and Miso unable to find an opening here. Forced to back away. Creeping their way up. In the meantime, Aura Boy still causing issues, still on the back line. Galactic Legend coming in from Wrecking to move on in, doing huge damage onto Fuwa, but in comes the Eternal Bond to keep everyone topped up. Blaster Barrage will not be able to out-damage that, and being a solo DPS makes it extremely difficult in times like this. Yes, Ian can drop some damage, but not if they're in their cocoon, as they are forced back. 20 seconds remain, and FutureTalent, they still have the freedom charge, which they will burn here. And Zombie 12 has the Galactic Legend for the turnaround, as we will see that Cosmic Card Amplifier from Maddie for at least any kind of damage boost to give them an opening to push on in. But with 10 seconds remaining, what have they achieved with that ultimate? The answer is very little. Aura Boy is in the backline, weakening everyone, as Zombie 12, the Galactic Legend, is enough damage to force everyone off the point, and that will be a hold at 52 meters. FutureTalent in control of this game, and Meow Miso on the defense now have to lock in and put on an incredible defense here. They need to hold. We've had some Ignite games fairly recently, perhaps if they've been watching the EMEA games. They might try looking at a potential Penny Rocket hold composition with a Punisher to just go for maximum lockdown. But right now, it looks like Meow Miso just going with the same strategy again. Locking in, bringing the thing to try and deal with this Captain America to remove their dashing ability. That Liberty Rush, a great way for Cap to get out. And of course, that Super Soldier Slam to dive away from enemies is going to get locked down by the Yancey Street Charge. But so far, they're not finding a lot of momentum out of it. Aura Boy moving off of the Cap, by the way, looking at the Venom here. But if you look at the amount of times they've been picked off, so far it's just been one onto Aura Boy, which means that this thing has got at least a little bit of value. But compare that to the 2 times things been taken out, and no one else on the side of FutureTalent has gone down. Fuwa has decided that it is time for a rocket for a little bit of armor for their team, and then the swap onto the Cloak and Dagger for the heal out of Spawn. Aura Boy starting off a little bit of an AFK. There's the finish line, pushing on in, immediately onto the backline. Gets slumbered, but still able to get a lot of damage output. Ian trying to focus down onto them. Are we going to see the auto cancels to maximize damage output? Cosmic Clusters just trying to rely on their team, hope that they can keep them up, and know they'll get targeted down, forced off the point, and we are seeing Meow Miso starting to get overwhelmed and outnumbered here. They need someone to touch that point, or it's too late. GG! FutureTalent rushing in there, taking control, and they will claim the game and the series, taking a 2-0 versus Meow Miso. And FutureTalent will move on in the Marvel Rivals Championship, with Timber taking another MVP here. 2 in a row. That is an Adam Warlock MVP there. Not a common sight. 12 eliminations though. Tied highest in the game, only got taken out once, and 7 final hits. They were the one doing a lot of the work. They did, of course, get 10k less damage than Zombie Fan, and Zombie Fan was, of course, setting up beautifully with that Star-Lord, but Timber was able to find pickups when they were needed, able to land those headshots, being efficient with their damage output, while still getting 7k healing, which isn't half bad. That's a little bit more than Lost Luck. Sorry, a little bit less than Lost Luck, a little bit less than Elusinia. Gonna eventually get that one right, especially if they continue through the bracket at this stage. And more than Ian on that counter Adam Warlock. Top damage blocked will go over to Zuri with Appormi getting focused down a fair amount, having to dash away quite a few times, leaving Zuri in that front line. Very interesting. Zuri, by the way, on the damage dealer last game, moved on to the Vanguard this time, did tank quite well, and got taken out tied least amount of times on their team. And top healing, gonna be Fuwa with 17k, bringing out that cloak and dagger, realizing that, hey, if they're gonna go for this Star-Lord style composition, then if there's gonna be solo damage output, then outside of ultimate, what do they really have that can burst through the Eternal Bond? And it worked out beautifully, keeping the healing numbers high, doing a little bit of damage boosting. They did a great job. That is a well-deserved win for FutureTalent, as they will move on in the Marvel Rivals Championship to the next round. We have so many weeks of gameplay left for that, so be excited. I believe that the Marvel Rivals Finals starts on the, first or second week of July. So I don't know for sure. I'll have to check the schedule in a bit. But we've got plenty of weeks for these teams to play through these brackets to get their games done so that they can try and compete for those 2 available spots for both EMEA, Americas, and Asia. This does no mean, because Pacific MRC is actually combined Oceania and Asia, there is a chance that, an Oceanic team could win MRC and not get given one of those free spots. They still have to do the Open Championships, or maybe they'd get offered a spot in Asia. I don't know how that would work. We'd have to find out. But for now, though, I hope you've all enjoyed. Remember to leave your requests as to which games you would like me to see me cover, what teams I should cast. You will be a little bit behind, because I obviously record in the future, and I record multiple in one go, so that I can protect my voice by taking days off. For now, though, I hope you've all enjoyed. Hopefully my nose becomes less stuffy as time goes on. Thank you all very much for watching. I have been Tetcher, and I will see you all tomorrow.